appreciate it and to grow something real. When you don't know what you're gonna do, and you're down and out, they're there for you. Baby, at the spot, they care for you, aware for you. Yeah, they fuck with you. When you got good news, they win with you. Got your different views, still in with you. They stay with you, every day for you. Through the highs and lows, they slay for you. Oh, it's so nice to feel appreciated and to know that it's real. We're gonna fight every fight as a collective. We're gonna do just what's right as a collective. We're gonna move as one, never quit till it's done. Stay focused and selective, Atlas Collective. Through the stormy skies, they fight for you. When the world denies, they lie for you. They fuck with you, on the block with you. Yes, they tick-tock and lock with you. When things go wrong, they fuck with you. You haven't known them long and they're there for you. Always standing strong, they stand with you. So grand with you, yeah, they been with you. Oh, it's so nice to feel appreciated and to grow something real. We're gonna fight every fight as a collective. We're gonna do just what's right as a collective. We're gonna move as one, never quit till it's done. Stay focused and selective, Atlas Collect. We're gonna fight every fight as a collective. We're gonna do just what's right as a collective. We're gonna move as one, never quit till it's done. Stay focused and selective, Atlas Collective. Fight as a collective. Do what's right as a collective. Move as one, won't quit till it's done. Focused and selective, Atlas Collective. Oh, it's so nice to feel appreciated and to grow something real. We're gonna fight every fight as a collective. We're gonna do just what's right as a collective. We're gonna move as one, never quit till it's done. Stay focused and selective, Atlas Collective. Stay focused and selective, Atlas Collective. Stay focused and selective, Atlas Collective.
Grand Rising, Namaste, Ashe, salutations, shalom, peace, peace, peace. Hope everybody's feeling great out there. Hope you're feeling great out there. So, in order for us to get into Babylonian magic, in order for us to get into the topic of today, we have to first go to the DNA unplug memory erase, how they infuse junk DNA in with real DNA, whereas though our neurological system, so on and so forth, is being blocked by certain variations of things, fields, or frequencies, right? So DNA damage began 5,500 years ago when Babylon and Sumerian invasion, right? Erased DNA race memory at Stonehenge except for chosen ones, reptilians. Distorted holographic tree of life took out 8D and 12D, right? 8D through 12D is taken out. We only know about 7 of the chakra systems, or, seven of these um dimensional fields, whatever, right? We only know about 7 of them, the basic 7, right? They took out the 8 through the 12, right? So also block life force and kundalini natural flow, glands, pineals, pituitaries, hypothalamus, thyroid, so on and so forth. So they found a way to manipulate different variations of fluids within inside the body in order to stop certain rivers from moving up the spinal cord into what they call edif, which is the upper brain, so on and so forth. So we got to get into that. We have to break that down. Shortened lifespan and damaged immunity set up for recycling to Astro 4D. I talk about that a lot, how a lot of people are stuck in the 4D Astro plane, so on and so forth. We got to get into that and break that down also. Scrambling geometric codes and more fields blocking multidimensional perception. This is where certain variations of colors are not coming in through the light or not being allowed to come in through the light. Certain variations of frequencies are not being heard or not being allowed to be heard, or they're pushing out a frequency over top of that. Rewrote human history from 5,500 years at a time of invasion. So this is what you're watching right now with the rewriting of history, the changing of certain historical documents, so on and so forth, or historical facts. You see that going on now, even to this day. And this is all part of a greater agenda. Once you get into this agenda, it might lead you into dark places. All right. This is where you see the enslavement treatment come in at, right? This is where you see the different variations of facts start to come out that pertains to today's society, right? Where you start noticing patterns. These where the patterns get big. This is when you start picking up generational patterns, right? Generational patterns. Going back to Egypt invasion, going back to Babylonian invasion, so on and so forth, right? Anunnakis, fire letters, right? Understanding the royal bloodline, Nebuchadnezzar. You might understand some of these things. Why? Because you heard about it in the biblical text. So, since a lot of people are familiar with Nebuchadnezzar and so on and so forth, but you might not be familiar how it pertains to today's fight, right? Today's fight is taking place in Iraq. Marduk is so on and so forth, Babylonian king. Let's talk about it since today's, since we see what's going on today, you might not understand it. You might not understand this manipulation. So we have to talk about it. Okay. Let's take a listen and then we'll discuss. All right. Because we got to talk about it because I'm trying to pull y'all up to operating in real time. I need y'all operating in real time with me, as part of this collective. I need y'all operating in real time. So the stuff that I know, I'm going to need y'all to know. I'm going to need y'all to know it fast. Okay. I'm going to need y'all to know it. And I need y'all to know it fast because things are happening a lot faster now. Okay.
Installation of Marduk Babylonian kings. Through the installation of a succession of Marduk-controlled Babylonian kings in what is present-day Iraq, they created an empire that settled around the Middle East for gaining control over the main 2D, 4D, and 10D stargates. Nebuchadnezzar II. Nebuchadnezzar II was the longest reigning king of the Chaldean dynasty in Babylon and was committed to conquest via the destruction of nations in order to rebuild his empire with great opulence and magnificence to honor Marduk. Thus, Babylon was the home of the god Marduk, considered to be at the center of the world, and Nebuchadnezzar's devotion to Marduk was meant to be a celebration of Babylonian victory and his supreme greatness. Ezekiel, father of dragons. Ezekiel's amethyst order father of dragons Cantarian body became embedded in the earth as the result of the electric wars and fall of the Gaian matrix, in which the advanced AI beast machinery from the black hole system had infected the 8D galactic core. Unable to incarnate into his damaged solar body, his consciousness fragments incarnated into a human soul body after the Atlantean cataclysm event, which led to several Sumerian Egyptian invasions and then the Babylon massacre. Ezekiel incarnated in the Christos mission timeline to help return the natural DNA languages inherent in the Law of One teachings after Hatshepsut and Akhenaten's first stages of the Guardian Gridwork mission undertaking, but before the timeline of Guardian Yeshua at the height of power of the Babylonian Empire. 3.
Now, a lot of y'all might not know what that is, talking about Yahshua and the guardian of Yahshua and how they're fighting to put the law of one back in effect through the Galactic War, rearranging our DNA, the Atlantic Catechism. You might not know about that, Babylonian Masonic groups, so on and so forth. We might get into that a little bit, right? The beast machinery, we might get into that a little bit, right? Nebuchadnezzar, you hear these different names during different times of the biblical text. We should get into that, right? So this is why I'm saying, like, a lot of the stuff that's being talked about is old. This is old stuff. Putting back the knowledge of the Kundalini, this is old information. They don't want this back in effect. They don't want you to understand all these different variations of dimensions within inside the vessel that make you multidimensional, right? They don't want you to understand all of this stuff. This is what they don't want you to understand. They keep you incarnated here. Here. This is where they keep you incarnated in the 3D realm, right? 3D realm. They trap you on 4D, which is your soul, right? But if you ascend past that with your Kundalini energy, you can rise above a lot of this stuff. This is why Christ said, all things I can do, you can do, and more. It is in the base of your spine. This is the serpent that is coiling at the base of the spine, right?
In our ascension model, we recognize and work with 15 waves of the spectrum of frequency that correlate directly with the universal rays, dimensions of time, and how our individual energy centers, also referred to as chakra systems, are connected to those dimensions of time that exist in the multidimensional universe. The first 9 layers of the spectrum of frequency can also be called Kundalini currents, which include the levels of the lower particle currents that make up the physical matter worlds. Above the 9 dimensions are the antiparticle dimensions, which are the blueprint forms of liquid plasma light or hydroplasmic currents. The amount of energy stored in the personal Kundalini current is the capacity of the genetic code to hold the higher consciousness energy. The soul and spiritual energies that cannot integrate into the DNA to be activated will be stored in the Kundalini center that is located in the base of the spine.
See, a lot of this energy is coiled at the base of the spine. They keep you in your root chakra, fight or flight, if you would say, right? So this goes back to your kundalini, your waves, why some people feel it sometimes and then don't feel it, right? If you go back to the Bible, the Ecclesiastics 11 will tell you about the silver cord being severed, so on and so forth. This goes back to all of that, right? A lot of people are not going to be in the knowledge of this. A lot of people are not going to be knowing of this, right? Those who know, we try to put it out there, knowledgeable. Some people sell it to y'all. Some people use this knowledge and they sell it to y'all, or use different forms of it to manipulate, different groups or sectors or whatever they want to call it, right? Some people use the Allison Crowley, the Baphomet method. We got to get into that. That's a method that I see being manipulated a lot now. I see that Allison Crowley Baphomet method being manipulated a lot now, right? But you might not be able to see it unless you recognize the patterns. Everything human interaction, it comes in patterns, right? It's almost like a map of their brain, right? So you're looking at the patterns, and the patterns comes in sequences. These sequences comes in waves. So you're looking at the wave pattern of the human behavior, so on and so forth, right? Human interaction, multidimensional beings. Kundalini awakening. Listen.
Kundalini activation. Each of the Kundalini currents are trinity waves, with sets of 3 energies that are interwoven into one triad wave current that gathers the consciousness energy in order to build the horizontal triad bodies or mental bodies, and it designs the way the mental bodies will act as the link of human consciousness into the physical matter worlds. Kundalini activation can be measured through observation of the outward demonstrations of how people think, and the quality of thoughts they carry that influence their behaviors. The total of 9 dimensions that are comprised of spectrums of frequency are interwoven into 3 main Kundalini triad currents. 3 by 3, once all 9 dimensions of frequency are activated in the human light body, activation into the threefold founder flame liquid plasmic light commences, and begins the higher spiritual initiation to activate the inner spark of plasma light of the Christ consciousness. When the threefold founder flame is activated within the light body, the vertical central column or Hara line is expanded into the permanent structure of the 12D shield, which widens the central column to become the structure that holds the internal hydroplasmic pillar of Christ light. All 9 dimensions of the spectrum of frequency exist in a triad pattern comprised of 3 sets of Kundalini energies that are coiled up within the 8 fetal cells located on the tailbone or coccyx. These 8 fetal cells are created at the time of our conception. The incarnating consciousness identities are connected into these intelligent layers of the spectrum of frequency that are linked into the silver cord of the soul and holds the birth blueprint or the transduction sequence imprint of the entire consciousness record for that person. The Kundalini coils in the base of the spine or coccyx are connected to the silver cord and to the pineal gland in the brain. When the pineal gland receives enough stimulation of the higher dimensional spectrum of frequency to begin to activate into the soul and spirit bodies, then the process of DNA activation begins. Ultimately, upon spiritual initiation of the inner spark of light in the tailbone, this personal spark must travel up the Kundalini currents, gradually moving up the body's vertical column to eventually manifest as spirals of plasmic light radiating from out of the heart center. Once the inner spark is able to move up the central column into the higher heart complex, it will begin to communicate with the thymus gland, and hormones are released into the blood to create the combined energies required to ignite the permanent seed atom. 1.
You see that? Now we're talking about hormonal energy, how they manipulate your hormones through your thyroid glands and so on and so forth, right? This is what people were talking about when they say like the manipulation of creative energy, so on and so forth. They're talking about this. They're telling you about this without telling you about this, right? They're telling you about the manipulation of different variations of things, and they're not really telling you about it because they're not getting to the facts of it. They're not telling you how this is happening inside the body, what's taking place inside the body, right? For this spiritual ascension, right? Because they are operating under a false Kundalini snake serpent, right? This is what they're operating under, the false Kundalini, right? They can't tell you about the real Kundalini because they're operating under what is the false Kundalini. Does that make sense? They are informed on this information. Therefore, they can't tell you because they're operating under a spell of Enki. It's the Enki spell. The Serpent King. One's in the chat. One's in the chat if that makes sense. They're operating under this.
False Kundalini snake. The caduceus network runs on reversal 7D violet ray current and has been intermixed with the serpent or snake symbolism that is commonly used to describe the human energy field via the chakra system. The caduceus geometry was an extension used to anchor the human light body to align with the reversal systems connecting back into the black star Abaddon and connect through the 7D crucifixion implants and the related networks. Thus, it was also used to bring the Clipith currents from the Black Tree of Life architecture to systematically override the organic architecture of the 12-tree grid and install artificial machinery and false memory Earth timelines. During the Egyptian timelines, the blue staff of Terra was utilized to dematerialize a section of the 2D fields, causing an underworld rift, or rip in time. The caduceus geometry was a false light insert that was installed to take advantage of the underworld rift in the 2D fields and control the black force current for generating creations in the womb worlds.
You see that? Even geometry was manipulated. Even geometry was manipulated. So when you say it goes deep, yes, it goes deep. This is that serpent that eats its tail, right? The real Kundalini turns into a staff. It goes upward and it turns into a staff because it straightens itself out. But the false Kundalini is that serpent that eats its tail, right? It's that 8 figure, right? So they got us moving like this. You see the 2 serpent heads that come to the point at the top, the 2 serpent heads at the top of it, right? You see that at the top? It's 2 energies that are going up the staff, going up your spinal column. So these 2 energies, they meet at the top, at the pineal, right? But if this is manipulated, through different variations of manipulation of the DNA, then this will be a false awakening, right? It's a false awakening. So this is something that is manipulated through the beast machine. When it's talking about different variations of things, you thinking that the beast machine is something, but really all of this is attacks on consciousness. Right now, we're watching different variations of attacks on consciousness.
One of the symbols used in the everyday world to represent and enforce the beast machine technology and the frequency fence nets is the caduceus. The caduceus is designed to split the gender fields and reverse them, as it projects reversal sequences into the earth to effectively scramble the original design of human DNA and the fire letters. These reversal patterns help to hold in place the phantom matrix areas of hibernation zones that the NAA used to remain in place the phantom matrix areas of hibernation zones that the NAA used to remain undetected. The caduceus network is designed to damage and shut down the horizontal rod functioning in the Earth. The larger caduceus networks can be found in certain major cities where grid workers may sense large amount of serpents or snakes crawling on the ley lines or power vortices, many times near major medical institutions. These are used to siphon the local energies of the Earth grid and feed them back through the caduceus network that in turn feeds the phantom areas or hibernation zones. Any medical, hospital, or drug-related company that shows the caduceus symbol is referring to the intended destruction of the glandular system and damaging of human DNA that ultimately harvest energies that are designed to feed the beast machine. This is why hospital drugs and pharmaceutical usage tend to manifest snake-looking parasites that attach in the energetic aura of the human who takes a lot of prescription pharmaceuticals or drugs. These can be cleared when made aware of them, and if it's absolutely necessary to take pharmaceutical prescriptions, to bless and clear them to work in harmony with your higher consciousness. References.
Now, do you see?
See also.
Do you see? It is a network. It is made to feed the beast that's in the machine. So these different programs, these different ideas that they have, it's just made to feed the beast that is in the machine. This is why, Jaguar Wright's son talks about the Leviathan, right? It goes back to the Baphomet. It goes back to that. All of this stuff goes back into that. What you thought was Star Wars was actually something deeper than that. What you thought was the Clone Wars was actually something deeper than that. What you thought was the force that was within someone was actually something deeper than that. All of these things was something deeper than that. But in order to understand that, you would have to know what transfer takes place from the lunar to solar zodiac imprint. It is considered the dark night of the soul. It is considered growth within inside oneself that determines whether you are going to be in a demonic version of yourself or an angelic version of yourself. It's ironic down here that they tell you about the 72 demons of the soul of man, but they never tell you about the 72 angels of the soul of man. They never tell you why this Orion's belt sit here, why the constellation of the Draconian constellation is the longest constellation in the sky, and why Hercules holds the tail of the Draconian constellation. They never break this stuff down. And then they don't like when people break it down to people and with the simple understanding, right? This is why we are Atlas. This is why, because Atlas holds up the constellations. Atlas holds up the zodiacs. There's over 88 constellations in the sky, but we only know about 12 of them. Right? Our universe is expanding all the time. And we act like we don't see it. But it's because of this false kundalini. It's because this blanket state consciousness. When you're watching that online, it's a blanket state consciousness that they have people in. Listen to this.
Blank slate consciousness is wiping. Beast machine is another reference to alien machinery that is installed in the planetary grid networks with the purpose to erase the memories of historical facts and records in the collective consciousness of the human race and the planetary logos. Through genetic digression, the population can be more easily controlled by the NAA intruders through implementing mind control, as they desire to produce immortality for their races through the enslavement and parasitism of the human soul. The context of which Blank Slate is being referenced in the newsletter, Blank Slate, from April 2009, is discussing the energetic clearing of ancestral miasmatic memory and is not to be confused with the BST alien technology, which is called Beast Machine. This alien machinery is called blank slate technology that is used to destroy the consciousness memories in the planetary field morphogenetic fields through the NAA in order to create consciousness traps for humanity. 1.
Tell me right now you don't see the conscious traps that they're making right now. Online, YouTube, right now, you see conscious traps, right? Look at the Jaguar right sector, which is now the black tea sector. Let's say the black tea sector, whatever sector it is. I think it's just people being nasty online and realizing that controversy sells, and they're using it as a means to get out of the life that they're in, right? So they're using other people's traumas and other people's, crises in order to get out of the life that they're in or hide from different variations of lives. But this is why critical thinking has to be a part of this, because one can allow someone else to do the thinking for them. And that's a conscious trap. You know what I mean? If someone else is doing the thinking for you, it's a conscious trap and they're manipulating your energy, right? Watch, listen to this. Listen to this and tell me if you don't see this happening online right now. Put a 1 in the comment section if you see this happening. Listen.
Consciousness traps. In a reality where deception is used continually as consciousness traps to enslave people's consciousness, it is important to comprehend the nature of consciousness traps. Becoming aware of what forces are stifling your force of will and taking away personal consent is your responsibility. It is critical to know that the stealing of personal will, the absolute death of your personal will, is the death of your consciousness. This is the most common consciousness trap on Earth that is taken advantage of by the controllers. One of the massive forces that exert control over one's personal will is the collective consciousness of the masses that are connected through the human race as species memories. When we allow the collective consciousness as a consensus to exert complete control over our consciousness, we allow this to overlay a superimposition over our individual consciousness matrix. So the goal of the archontic controller is to keep the information erased and hidden, to deprive the right of liberty and freedom of every individual to have the conscious choice to discern their personal energy and decide where they want to place their energy.
If you don't see how that works online, right? You see people tearing down other people's support system if they have supporters, right? You'll see them making you feel guilty for supporting certain people, typing in the comment section or donating to them, right? You see them trying to paint certain narratives of certain people, trying to get them to live in the person that they want them to live in, not the person that they want to be, right? You see these different variations of traps on here. This is why I say, let bygones be bygones. Let them be who they're going to be so you can be who you're going to be, right? This is why I don't pay attention to the stuff that they're doing, right? This is why I say don't get trapped in that energy, right? A lot of people don't realize what I'm saying when I'm saying this stuff. It's because I come to the realization that you can get sucked into that conscious. You can get sucked into that collective conscious. You might not know you're in that collective conscious, but it's a vortex. So as soon as you start giving that energy to that collective conscious, the black hole technology, the vortex, the Leviathan, the Baphomet, that's why I say they are more so operating off of the Baphomet and Alice and Crawley than they are of a pure operation of their own conscious, right? This is why it seems like a lot of their stuff has to go through a cycle first before they can give it to you. They can't have a conversation right off the top of the head about this stuff, right? They'll tell you, like, I got to study that. I got to study that. I got to study that. But If they already studied this stuff, then it should be already in their mind. You should be able to go find this information in your mind if you already studied this stuff, right? It shouldn't be like, oh, I got to go read up. I got to go read up. That's informed. That's informed info, right? When you have natural knowledge, when you have the natural ability to hold on to this knowledge and hold on to this information, it rolls off your tongue naturally, right? The only thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to find a better way to reach people to put this knowledge out there, right? I already know it, but I use AI and I use this computer in order to find better ways to bring it to the masses, right? Free of charge, because I already know this stuff. I already know how to strengthen the body. I already know how to get my digestive system in order for a rising of the kundalini. I already know how to strengthen the hormonal energy within inside the vessel. I already use different variations of frequencies and stuff to bring myself out of different states of being, whether it be depression, sadness, or whatever. I already use these methods in my day-to-day life, right? I'm trying to show other people how to use these methods, right? Life is easy. Life is easy. Excuse me. Life is easy, but one has to be willing. One would have to be willing to take that easier way of life, have to be willing to let go of these things that people consider to be carnal desires, right? Because once you rise above the carnal desires, right, you won't experience a second unaliving because you'll have the knowledge and wisdom to understand that nothing really unalives, it just transfers. So energy transfers. Once you realize the essence of you, that you are energy, then you'll realize a little level of alchemy. You'll realize a little level of finding you in everything. And then you'll be able to see the design human patterns, right? That's what I'm over here pointing out. These design human patterns, right? I can't stop seeing these patterns. So when I see these patterns, whether it be in real life or on YouTube, I'm going to point them out. It's all part of the Armageddon software. I'm not going to. This is why you see Jaguars. This is why you see Ali Carters. This is why you see these different people. They're pushing a certain software. That's the Armageddon software. That's the anarchy software, right? That's the down with the government software. They're pushing that. They have nothing to replace it. They have nothing to replace it. It's almost like musical chairs. They want the seats. Jaguar don't want to get away from hip hop. She wants to be hip hop. Do you get what I'm saying? She don't want to, get away from Sean Carter. She thinks she designed Sean Carter. She thinks that he owes a big part of his career to her because she did the whole, I can't see it coming down my eyes, so I gotta make a song cry. Good dudes, you love me like cook food, even though a nigga gotta move like a crook move. Whatever she feel as though she contribute to that, she think it contribute to making that man, which is crazy because that's narcissistic. But however you look at this, you're watching this machinery. It's the persona, right? Look past the person, look past the persona, get to the entity. We have different entities that control our vessels. That's why we're different. It goes into states of being, multidimensional beings. Because sometimes you could be sad, sometimes you could be depressed, sometimes you could be angry, sometimes you could be hungry, sometimes you could be happy. These are all different states of beings, right? You ain't just pick one state of being like I choose happy and you're just that state of being. No, it comes with the human experience, the vessel being wonderfully and mysteriously made whole. I like to use wonderfully and mysteriously. They like to use fearfully, right? Because they like to place this fear in mankind, right? So they like to use fearfully made. I like to use wonderfully and mystifully, right? Because I feel like it's a mystery. All of this stuff is a mystery, right? We learning, we pushing forth knowledge, wisdom with the grandest level of understanding, and we trying to come to a conclusion that hey, we all in it together. What's going on with you, Scarlet Onion? Hope everything is well. Hey, shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope you found the thumbs up button. If you ain't found the thumbs up button, hope you found the thumbs down button. If you got an opportunity to put super chats in there, throw some super chats in there. We didn't get monetized for no reason. If you want to become a member to the page, become a member to the page. Join the Discord. If you like a one-on-one class, let me know what you struggle with. I'll try to meet you where you at to bring you into a grander understanding of this. If you don't understand spirituality and you getting confused with religion, well, all of this stuff is things that is programmed within the DNA. These are things that are in our womb. These are things that are embedded through the system of going through trials and tribulations of this human experience. Some of it didn't even come from you. It might have came from ancestors, right? But it's settled there. It's in your mind. It's broken up in fragments. These different variations of invasions, they might be coming to you. Some of us are old star seeds. Some of us are young star seeds. But the old star seeds, the star seed within inside the vessel is awakening in order to bring different variations of knowledge and wisdom back into this circulation, right? And also, if you would like to donate, please feel free to donate to Peace of God on Cash App or PayPal, Ralph DaWise, so on and so forth. Or if you have Apple Pay or however you want, all donations count. Everything goes to it. Make sure you check out the videos of the goat fence and the update for the farm. And make sure you check out that damn chicken video because I'm about tired of Reggie and I might have to really fight him. I thought I heard him one day because he tried to get out and attack me as soon as I opened the door. And I had to, never mind. I ain't going to talk about it. But, All right. So, and the goat fence is up. So, congratulations to the goat fence being put up. We have that up now. So, we should actually take a song break and take a minute to celebrate that the goat fence is up. The goat fence is up, people. It's up. It's up. The goat fence is up, okay? It's up. We got the goat fence up. We got the goat fence up. That's one step out of the way. You know what I'm saying? That's one step out of the way is the goat fence is up, right? So we don't have to, we can move on to the next endeavor. A lot of people, they wasn't expecting this day to come. They didn't expect the day that we get the goat fence up, because they kept on trying to make it seem. I told you I'm going to blame everything on y'all anyway. So, what I'm saying? I'm going to blame everything on y'all anyway. So, it's the same operation. So we appreciate everybody that contribute to that. Even if you didn't contribute to it, we still going to say you contribute to it because that's the goal here. The goal is just to remind people that you can't stop what somebody have in store for you. The universe has something in store for you. People can't stop it. You know what I mean? They'll try with all their might to try to stop it, but they won't be able to stop it. That's the beauty of this. You know what I'm saying? That's the beauty of this. They can't stop it even if they try. Huh? The world has lost its mind. Every time you're trying to find more money, more time to make it everything all right. It ain't easy going through this life, blinded by false light, letting this inside. But guess what? There's hope for trunks to be raised, right? Long as you can stay within collectively. We got to stay connected. All we ever really wanted was you. All we ever really needed was you. You. All of you. All of you. All we needed was all of you. Just keep your attention on us, that's all. And watch all the beautiful things that's happening. Just put good intentions on us. We're going to show you. We're going to show you what happens when you just put good intentions on something. High tides of love will flood. The Atlas family is one. Oh, we were
All we ever really wanted was you.
All we ever really needed was you. You, all of you. Ah.
All we ever really wanted was you.
Yo, shout out to everybody that stuck it out. Even though I know it might have been up and down, I know it might have been hard for you to stick it out. And, with everything that people were saying, I know it might have been kind of difficult for, some people to stick it out and go through the bullshit, but, we still kicking, we still thriving, we still pushing out knowledge, wisdom, understanding, you know, we trying, we trying, we willing to be better. And that's all that counts is that we willing to be better. You know, they not willing to be better. That's why they keep on going through the same problems over and over again, hoping for a different result. You know, we still winning because we willing. It's that mustard seed that's inside of us, open mindedness, and that ability to want to unify. You know, so you got to be careful. A lot of people are pushing out this software, right? This software, this Armageddon software, they are pushing it out, you know. And look, see, I got to go through certain verifications just to get to this page. Just to get to the Armageddon software page, I got to go through certain verifications. You know what I'm saying? They got to make sure of some stuff. You know what I'm saying? So when you're watching this is the stuff that they're going to use right here, right? Using the Church of Rome, the false father of religion, to perpetrate the greatest spiritual abuse of human beings, right? Mind control, brainwashed through religious fears, right? Persecution based upon catastrophic terrorism and like you see this happening right now, right? It's the reptilian part of the brain. It keeps you in that survival of the fittest mindset. Better me than them, as they say, right? So this Armageddon is a reptilian software that's in the brain. It goes back to Atlantis and Lemuria. And if you've been here for the Jaguar right sector, then you know why you think we got so upset when Beverly came out and tried to say that Jaguar had Atlantean blood within her. And she don't know nothing about Atlantis or Lemuria, right? Jaguar know nothing about Atlantis or Lemuria, but that lady Beverly gonna sit there and say that they doing a DNA test and Jaguar got Atlantis blood in her and Lemuria blood in her and so on and so forth. And they don't know nothing about it. But it comes from this Armageddon software, the reptilian software. Did she telling her that she had teeth that was sharp and she grind her teeth down to get ready for the fight? That's reptilian stuff. You know that? They explaining to you reptilian behavior. They not explaining to you no ascension. They not explaining to you about different dimensions. They explaining to you reptilian behavior. Do you get what I'm saying? Huh? You understand what I'm saying, right? So this was implemented through this money magic. They do this money magic curse. It's implemented through money magic. Think about it. Money is created. Money is something that is created, right? Paper money is something that's created, right? But the manipulation of it is to say that if I use this paper that is created in order to give you or donate or whatever, then I'm in control of you. It is an Allison Crawley thing. This is why you'll hear more of them talk about being broke or someone else being broke. They use the manipulation of money as a way to try to put other people down and so on and so forth. This goes all the way back to the Essenes. This type of stuff go all the way back to the SN. Let's get into it right here, right? This is why they bring up money. They don't think we know that we rich through the Federal Reserve. They don't think that we know this. But because they manipulate this, they sit there and they play on your own funds right in your face. But we're not going to get into all of that. We're just going to let the AI read it to you and you tell me.
Money curses. Transcript: every time we touch money, exchange money, we are dealing with Egyptian curses and anti-human black magic. We have been born into a structure that has been enslaved by something ancient that has been hidden from everybody, yet is everywhere. We can't get away from it, because it's everywhere in the structures of control. As a witness for all of us, I'm understanding why it's so hard to complete this, because it is everywhere. It's in every organization used to control the society of the world we live in by the power elite. We don't have a lot of alternatives in fully detaching ourselves, being stuck in the system as it is, and recognizing the Egyptian overlays are everywhere. They are in the stock market, the banking system, everything that we have to touch when we pay for things, rent, bills. We're in an Egyptian curse. We're in the timeline of the energies that they have used form that point in time as a power source. The Federal Reserve, these structures of government have taken. When we see the obelisk, when we see these monuments that are erected as honoring government, all of this is a type of occult knowledge that has been taken from the Masons or whatever, but it goes back to Egypt and further into the Essenes and beyond. But I feel a big black block in the Egyptian time, because it seems that the primary energy force that is harvested from human beings to maintain power in this world, meaning this small 1%, this Illuminati, these governing bodies, they are drawing upon a regular source of power from the Egyptian timelines and work as automatons mind controlled by the Orion group. By doing that, they are creating more karmic exhaust, more curse, the more people feed into it, because obviously, there's not a lot of choices on Prison Planet. So it's something that keeps regulating the governance of this power abuse of the controllers, that is the enslavement that can be felt in all of these structures. 1.
So this is why I say like they will use this form of magic, this money operation magic, right? They will use this different form. You see it all through the internet. They're using this different form of money operation, right? And when they see people that's coming along and they're trying to change that currency, right? So like say us for instance, the Atlas family, however, we coming out with love is love, all of this stuff, right? That's trying to change the operation of currency, right? So their currency right now is flowing towards chaos, world star, drama, controversy sells, right? The currency is flowing that way right now, right? So they know the currency is flowing that way. We coming along and trying to get people to change the operation of that currency, trying to move in the way of the ascends and say, hey, we can change the operation of this currency by, paying for, good things, paying for knowledge, paying for wisdom, paying for this stuff and showing them like, hey, we want this back into the world, right? It's going to change the operation of that currency. The problem is a lot of these people can't bring you that knowledge, wisdom, understanding, growth, right? But for the people who do want that, we have to bring this network. It's a network we would have to put back together. It's almost like a network of light body beings, right? We're out here. We're out here. We're just disconnected, you know? We're disconnected. All of this is connected to the cosmos, to that 0 point field within inside the mind. All of this is connected to that 0 point field within inside the mind, right? And somehow we have to get back to this level of consciousness where we understand that 0 point field, that field of, collective consciousness that is a part of the creator, right? Once we get back to that, then we will change the currency within the blink of our eye. We will be able to change that currency and what they sell us down here within the blink of our eye, right? They know this. They know this. They know if this knowledge is back circulating, people will realize the power that they have collectively. That's why they keep you in your personal mind. They don't want you to come up to a collective state of being, because then we'll be each one teach one.
All of the universal creation emulates the in-breath and out-breath emanating from the center point of all union, the God source. As we are made in the image of God, we are also emulating this principle of the natural laws. Take a moment to feel this as a guided visualization. As you take a deep inhaling breath, this is the in-breath of God, breathing in the God particle principle of the universe. As you hold your breath, the space between the breath, this is the still point or 0 point of God, where all is emanated from and originally sourced. As you exhale, this is the out breath of God, exhaling the antiparticle principle of the universal creation field. As you inhale and exhale consciously following the movement of your breath, you will be able to note that this is the fission and fusion movement that exists between the particle and antiparticle relationship of our universe. It is this relationship that manifests into a particle form, such as our physical bodies, as we experience it in this density. As the fission and fusion exchange is accelerated, it changes the pulsing momentum and charge of the frequency field it is creating. It is also important to note that our creation, our universal hologram through the process of this fission and fusion is like a light switch turning on and off perpetually. We are able to experience form creation through the principles of the living breath of God's source, perpetually breathing in and out, or turning on and off between the particle and antiparticle mass. This is the process of alchemy that manifests form as we experience it. And this is exactly what is being radically altered on our planet and within our bodies, right now, too.
So this is why I say, like, there's different variations of chemicals that are being manipulated with inside the vessel at all times, right? But you wouldn't understand any of this, right? You get so caught up in these things that's happening, people, places, you get so caught up in that you can't even realize that this is taking place within inside of you. You don't even realize it. You don't even realize it. Some people do. Some people could feel the different variations of vibrational frequency change, but some people can't. Some people will never recognize these fire codes, fire letters, in their DNA. Die rod and die staff. You'll never understand this 0 point of 144, chromosomes, 144 frequencies, 144 crystals, 144 chakras. You'll never understand the 12 that's within the 12, because you are, closing off your mind to this understanding. So once you close off your mind, you you don't have this ability to reach this, Kratos, Christ-like point of unity. You don't have that ability to realize, all is one and one for all, or the ability to realize that we're just greater reflections of each other, or to realize, what is done and we all in it together. You won't have that ability. You'll still be fighting some sort of rage, anger, revenge, some sort of lineage of that. You'll still be fighting that.
These, hierogamic or sacred marriage, unions are genetically purposed to work on templating the transfiguration orb architecture and the Merkaba body, as both rod and staff corrected principles are required to enable this function in the diamond sun crystal body. As the female principle, staff, holds the monadic blueprint architecture to infuse the mother aquamarine 13th gateway, the solar father RA rod principle unites with her to open the inner stargate within a 45-degree spinning field that collapses into a transharmonic orb body. That inner stargate is located inside our core diamond sun body and enables complete transfiguration of our physical and auric body to occur. As the physical body dematerializes, pulling its particle mass into the center of the body core, the mass is pulled into the core at a 45-degree angle from 4 sides. Upon the dematerialization collapse, the orb field spins in 360 degrees aligned to 0.144. The inner spinning core opens into the universal monadic core, and every direction and movement, into any event horizon, possibility opens into the consciousness awareness field. Moving around from inside of this orb body feels like sliding. Similar to a slippery monorail, there is a directional movement of the consciousness field perception of sliding back and forth. It's a little like having sea legs after sailing on a boat and returning back to walk on land. 4. Christos is unity with 0 point. The Christos is the offspring of Hieros Gamos. What we have come to learn through the guardian principle of Hieros Gamos is that the Christos intelligence is the child/offspring of the Holy Mother, Ark, and Holy Father, Ark, and cannot be birthed into the physical world without both principles/polarities equally unified to 0 point. These principles of polarity, male/female, are unified between the internal and external manifestation, internally with the inner spirit and externally with the physical body. 5.
So this is why it's important to understand that one side of the vessel is a masculine side of the vessel, which operates as the rod, and the other side is a feminine side of the vessel, which operates as the staff, thy rod and thy staff. So with both of these, once you start to understand this, then thy rod and thy staff will be with thee all the days of thy life, right? So your feminine and your masculine energy will be with you. And through that understanding of this doorway being open, you will become a Christ like being, standing these essence of oneself, and then going forth and proceeding this into the physical world or manifesting this into the physical world, right? Trying to bring people into a grander understanding of this. Now, that's another subject, right? When you try to bring people into a grander understanding of this, you're going to run across into a lot of friction down here. Down here on this plane, you're going to run into a lot of friction when you're trying to explain this to people, because the trick down here is to trap you in the fourth dimension, right? The astral plane. So they're not going to be into somebody who's trying to get you out of that fourth dimension. They're not going to try to, broadcast a way to get you out of this, right? Fourth dimension, heart chakra, astro mind, collective race mind, intuition, right? This is where they try to trap you at, right? Reptilian invasion. So they want to trap you in the fourth dimension, the astral plane. They don't want you to ascend past that, right? Most people that made it out of the astral plane, made it through the astral plane, they are pissed that we made it through the astral plane, right? This is where the astral heart manipulation comes in at. This is why people down here try to use the sacral chakra, which is your, sacral energy. Jaguar Wright uses that a lot. And, AI and so on and so forth, because they're trying to trap you in this fourth dimensional astral plane through different variations of conversations or manipulation of feelings and emotions. So I leave the F and E's behind in order for not to be trapped in this astral plane. They want to make you do something so you can feel guilty after you do it. They want to try to make you, perform an action towards them, against them, or something like that. So that way they can use these different variations of created trauma as to block you from ascending to higher realms and trap you in the astral plane. And when you hear this, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Astral heart manipulation. When one has control over the thoughts of one's mind, one has control over the direction and actions of the physical body, all of its parts, and reclaiming of the soul energies. Whoever controls the mind controls the soul. Most NAA mind control is manipulated in the astral plane, and this alien machinery has damaged humanity's astral heart and fourth chakra, thus blocking our true heart purpose, which is to express the soul through the heart center. When the fourth chakra is blocked, it accumulates aberrant emotional energies in the second chakra, creating trauma, soul fragmentation, and addiction problems. This is known as the pain body and the repository, which is the negative forms of the many shadow selves. 2D/4D split. The genetic block and removal of these DNA tones created a dual identity in both the 2D and 4D levels of the astral plane, and is how the shadow self and unconscious aspects were first generated in the digressed human DNA. The 2D schism split the instinctual body into separate functions, a collection of fragmented subpersonalities, generated from soul memories, and a repository of personal emotional energies and collective chaotic forces. The 4D schism placed a barrier in the natal capsule that separates the astral body/heart chakra from merging with the 3D solar plexus mental body. This subjects the person to lower astral energies and lower astral traveling. This blocks the lower body's communication with the elemental kingdoms, making it very hard for the person to feel body consciousness or communication with nature or the elemental kingdom. 1.
So, online you see different variations of this stuff happening. You see this stuff taking place. Once again, you got to have spiritual discernment in this. These are different fragments of things that's taking place. They're going to use the split between the astral chakra, fourth chakra, and the second chakra, which is your sacral chakra. So this is where you hear them, sexualizing a lot of stuff or speaking of different things of that, because this is your second chakra, right? Instinctual mind, right? This is that chakra. And you'll see this different variations of manipulation in that chakra, whether it be through a Jezebel spirit or some form of it, right? They're going to manipulate your harmonic universe in these chakras, try to get you to do certain variations of things. This is just one way that they play on this, right? Through Baphomet, um, so on and so forth, right? And these are the things that you'll hear them use, right? Listen to it.
The Guardians have identified the 7 most painful implants of separation that impact the majority of human beings on this earth now. 1. Unworthiness. 2. Shame/guilt. 3. Lack of trust/self-doubt. 4. Betrayal/abandonment. 5. Anger/rage. 6. Fear. 7. Entrapment/enslavement.
All right. Now, with the things that you have seen that went on from the planting stuff in the Discord to trying to make people not want to support, using self-doubt, trying to make it seem like somebody's not worthy of supporters, trying to make it seem like somebody's not worthy of followers, trying to point out anger and rage and different things like that, using different variations of fear, right? And entrapment, trying to make it seem like someone is losing their mind with this whole troll farm stuff, so on and so forth, right? Can y'all not see the different variations that they use within this, energy? Can y'all not see the different variations of things that they manipulate? This is why I don't feed the house of ego. This is why I don't allow these different variations of manipulation on me. You know what I mean? They try to use this and then they make it seem like they're not using this stuff. You know, they use this stuff, our relationship between others, so on and so forth. They use this stuff. All the things the second chakra consists of, they use this stuff, right? You see it. You see them using this stuff. Now, we like to laugh at it. We laugh at it. Our bladder and our reproduction order is part of this system. It's why.
Second chakra issues and imbalances may include patterns and symptoms of the following. Our relationships to others includes family, friends, lovers, partners. Boundaries in our personal relationships. Our relationship to our inner child. Are we a loving parent to our inner child? Subconscious programs or archetypes we carry related to the ego's belief of identity. Desire body and instinctual body processes, like addiction and reactionary emotions. Creative intelligence flow, our true passion and purpose. Female empowerment and the true power of defining the goddess energy within. Reproduction beliefs, and our reproductive glands and organs. The throat, 5th, and sacral chakra, 2nd, are 2 key creative energy centers that work together.
Of course, they wouldn't want you to know the power of any of this stuff. Of course, they wouldn't want you to understand any of this stuff. We like to try to bring it to you and break it down to you as simple as possible. We hope you like today's production of that. All things considered, it's about knowledge and wisdom and putting that back into circulation. It's about, excuse me, it's about helping and loving each other and trying to bring forth a greater understanding of that, right? It's not supposed to be this, fight, for space, fight whether this is true, that's true. It's supposed to be easy, like a dance. It's supposed to be a dance, right? So, keep doing what y'all doing. You know, if nobody told you that they love you today, let me be the first, but not the last to tell you that I love you, right? One's image of oneself should be greater than reality. Greater things is happening. If you do donate, we appreciate it, whether it be PayPal, Cash App, or becoming a member to the page or a super chat, whatever it is. I think I did get one um um super chat or something while we wasn't here or something like that. But if you do, we do appreciate it. Replay gang, we appreciate you. We are going to continue to bring forth some knowledge. We're going to continue to do and move how we move, right? We're going to push past all of the BS that's going on over here, right? And we're going to try to get back to that law of one, realizing that we are all in it together, realizing as above, so below, as without, so within. We're going to keep on supporting the indigos and the bloodlines of awakening by putting out the information about the DNA and how to regenerate the DNA through the founding flames of the sun, emptying out your body so the sun can purify your body, so on and so forth. If you like knowledge and wisdom and understanding and you're trying to live a longer life with this knowledge, through these understandings of how to regenerate the body, then stick around, become a member to the page. And we're going to get into a lot of this stuff. We're going to be out here practicing a lot of this stuff as far as different variations of um, eating sunlight, if you would say. There's different forms of rituals that they don't tell you about. We're going to get back into the understanding of those rituals and putting the knowledge back out there about it so you can unlock different variations of dimensions within inside oneself so you can explore the multitudes of dimensions within inside your own universe. Now, everybody's universe is different, so you might not experience the same thing that other people experience in their universe. You might be a young soul, young star seed down here or whatever, but we're going to get into all of that. All right, y'all have a great day.